Okay, look. Uh, this is the very beginning slide, and I shared ideas about culture and imperialism, or you know that uh, about side. Okay, I talked about side. You know, so I talked about Edward Said. So perhaps Edward Said is not uh, unknown to you now. Uh, Many things can be shared, many things can be said about Said. Or if I say simply that it cannot be, I mean, if we say, if we appreciate uh, Said or Said's works or contribution, we cannot, we cannot, we cannot even finish it in words. Okay, so Said is a person. What can we say about Said? Okay, very influential. Uh, I mean, so influential to keep an impact upon the thinkers, I mean the philosophers, the practitioners of literature, okay, and other people as well. I mean, he contributed to the scholarship, okay, he contributed to academia so very much that we cannot describe the contribution of Said in words. Okay, we cannot describe the contribution of Said in words. Okay, so you just look. The full name of Edward Said is Edward Wadi Said. Okay, often we don't know the full name. Often we don't know the full name. Edward W. Said, it is often said, or he is called in such a way that Edward W. Said. So, what is the meaning of the W? The meaning of this W, or the elaboration of this W is, the elaboration of this W is what? Wadi. Okay, Edward Wadi Said. You just look. Edward Wadi Said. Okay, so you just keep this thing in your mind. The full name of Edward Said is Edward Wadi Said. Wadi, William Wadi, I mean Ibrahim, was his father's name. Okay, so he took his father's, the part of his father's name here with his name also. So Wadi is was also the name of his father. Okay, come to the next slide. Edward Said actually died in 2003 in New York. Okay, so he was engaged in uh, he was engaged in teaching at Columbia University, the very famous Columbia University situated in New York, and uh, he almost served 40 years uh, in Columbia University. Okay, so when he died or he passed away, what was the comment about Said? We just want to have a glance at that. We like to have a glance at that. You just look. Edward Said was a great scholar, a great teacher, and a beloved member of the Columbia community for 40 years. Alan Brinkley, the provost of Columbia University. Okay, so Alan Brinkley, the provost of Columbia University, said so when Edward Said died in 2003. In 2003 in New York. Okay, so this is the acknowledgement. Okay, this is the acknowledgement uh, from a fellow professor, or you can say, I mean, Edward Said's colleague. So, was a great scholar, a great teacher, and a beloved member of the Columbia University. Okay, then again, another person, the president of Columbia University, Lee C. Bollinger, he also said, or he expressed ideas about Said, or I mean, talked about Said, praised, mean, he praised highly. I mean, about highly. I mean, he praised Said highly. You see, Said's death is an irreplaceable loss to the realm of ideas, and for those who believe in the redemptive power of the life of the mind. Okay, so this is the comment about, or the opinion about Said when he died, from the president of Columbia University. Okay, so these comments actually indicate, or you can say these comments remind us of the contribution of Edward Said. Okay, how uh, great a person he was, or how he contributed to uh, Columbia University and also the world. Okay, and also the intelligentsia, or you can say the intellectuals of the world. It was a great loss. I mean, when he died, so it was really a great loss. Okay, so come to the next slide. Said's background, you perhaps already have come to know about Said's background. He was born on uh, 1st November 1935 in Jerusalem, which is known to be, I mean, mandatory Palestine, Israel. Okay, so I shared these ideas when I was talking to you. I mean, when I discussed these things verbally, okay, without having any help of the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so I told you that I was telling that if you follow, or if it is possible to conduct the class with the help of PowerPoint presentation, you have got a benefit. What is the benefit? The benefit is uh, all the information remain intact in the slide. Okay, and when you have the convenient time, okay, when you have the convenient time, you can watch it. Okay, you can watch it, and you can get the information from there. That's why, I mean, PowerPoint presentation is going to be helpful for you. Okay, it's really helpful for you. So it has got a benefit. Okay, okay, you see that uh, what that Said was born. Uh, Said was born on November 1935. Said was born on 1st November 1935 in Jerusalem, which is known to be mandatory Palestine. Okay, uh, mandatory Palestine, and their family shifted to Cairo in 1947 due to Arab-Israeli wars. Okay, so you know that you can come to know about Arab-Israeli wars and the conflicts that happen, or that happened in the past. Still, there are conflicts between Lebanon and Israel, Palestine and Israel, and you know that bloodshed sheds often occur, or deaths. Okay, so we can come to know about uh, the torture, the I mean uh, bloodshed that often happens in that part. Uh, okay, we come to know news and information from uh, through newspaper, and also I mean social media, or you can say electronic media. Okay, so the conflict continues. Okay, that's why, because of the conflicts and because of the wars, Arab Israeli wars, I mean, uh, Edward Said's family shifted to Cairo in 1947. In 1947, okay, that's why Edward Said had to leave his own uh, birthplace. You know that his ancestral home he had to leave. Okay, so that was not a uh, good feeling. That was really a difficult, tough feeling for Said. So because of chaos, because of war. If someone has to leave his or her own living place, dwelling place, or you can say motherland, it's not a very happy feeling. Okay, definitely. So you know that he was a Palestinian. Okay, Palestinian. Uh, he was an Arab actually. He was an Arab. Okay, so just look at his educational background. So Edward Said was a student studying at English medium school. Okay, so his background is of English medium school. You know. Okay, he his early schooling, his early academic life, he passed in English medium school. Okay, so uh, so he he actually he studied at English medium school of Jerusalem and also in Cairo. Okay, so in Cairo he studied at a British British school, Victoria College, which was known to be Victoria College, though he was expelled. Okay, and when he was expelled, uh, I mean, uh, and school, and school run by the British people. Okay, and school run by the British people. When he was expelled, okay, his father was a veteran American, a member of American forces. That's why his father had the citizenship, and that's why he left Cairo also, and he they I mean his as his father was a member of American forces, American army. That's why it was very easy for him to bring his son to America. And when Edward Said went to America, he started schooling in the USA. Okay, so he started his schooling in a very famous school named Northfield Mount Harmon School in Massachusetts. He started studying there in the American school in 1951. Okay, in 1951, and he had a very elegant, or you can say, he had a very elegant schooling, elegant, study background or academic background, if you say. Okay, after that, so after passing uh, from an American school, Mount Harmon School in Massachusetts, uh, he he actually went to Princeton University. You know that Princeton University is so famous university uh, of all time, a famous university, which is known to be Ivy League University in the USA. Okay, very famous university, and this is, and you know that universities have got some particular specialization. Some universities are special or specially famous for engineering. Some universities are famous for you see that medical science. Okay, that is in America. So in our country also we are getting such universities. Uh, some 20 or 20 years back or 30 years back, you know, that we did not have so many specialized universities, only a few. Buet was a very specialized university, and a few universities. Now we have got specialized universities like Pabna Science and Technology, Shahjalal Technological University, you know, and also Khulna. So these universities are known to be specialized universities. Okay, and Princeton University or Harvard University, these universities are famous for particular subjects, you know. So literature and other, I mean, uh, the, these universities are famous for many disciplines. Many disciplines. Princeton University is famous for arts or humanities. Okay, humanities, and Harvard also. Harvard is famous for many disciplines. So you just look that Edward Said was a proud member, or you can say an alumni or alumnus of Princeton University. He completed his BA degree from Princeton University in 1957. And then he attended or he achieved MA degree from Harvard University in 1960. He got his PhD also from Harvard University in 1964. Okay, so you know. Okay, so what was what was his background? What a fantastic background Edward Said had, educational background. Okay, so we are going to we are going to discuss a person, we are going to read a text, we are going to analyze a text of a writer whose academic background was very, very elegant. Okay, then come to next that what was his professional activities, what was his professional career. Okay, so Edward Said was a professor of Columbia University, and he never shifted to other universities, any other university. He almost passed his whole career in Columbia University, New York. Okay, so Columbia University is also another famous university of America. Okay, so he joined Columbia University as a faculty member of English department as a lecturer in 1963, and then he promoted to assistant professor of English and comparative literature in 1967. Okay, and he was promoted to full professor. I mean full professor in 1969. Okay, so this is shortly his professional career. You know his professional career. So he passed his entire career in he passed his entire career in Columbia University. Okay, whatever fame, whatever name, and whatever fame, whatever recognition he achieved serving uh, at Columbia University, serving Columbia University. Okay, so that's why Columbia University is a big part or great part in his life and career. Okay, just come to uh, come to next slide. So the next slide will be we'll have a glance at the works, or you can say the contribution or the works or the literary works of Edward Said. Okay, so we are navigating to the next slide. You just look what what did Edward Said write in his lifetime or in his professional within his professional framework. Okay, so you just look. Okay, this is going to be the next slide. So his first book is Joseph Conrad and the Fiction of Autobiography, which was written in 1966. Joseph Conrad and the Fiction of Autobiography, which was written in 1966. Okay, so this is a very famous book, though it is the first book. Normally, the first book does not bring a lot of, honor, or you can say that cannot be often. The first book cannot bring that honor or esteem or reputation or something like that. But his first book brought him a lot of fame and name and honor and reputation. Okay, which was Joseph Conrad, Joseph Conrad and Joseph Conrad and the Fiction of Autobiography. So perhaps it is a few minutes late that you cannot view instantly because it takes time, a few minutes, to for the slowness of the speed of internet. Okay, the moment I navigate from one or shift from one slide to another, I mean it takes time to be viewed from your places because because of the slowness of the speed. Okay, okay. So what I am saying about his writings or about his works or about his literary contribution, I am just saying one by one. The first work, of Edward Said is Joseph Conrad and the Fiction of Autobiography, and then which was written in 1966. Then he had a big gap. Okay, so he had a big gap after the first book was written, and the second book Edward Said wrote was Orientalism, and over, time and again I talked about Orientalism, and definitely we must talk about Orientalism in the sense that even I discussed in my previous class that uh, culture and imperialism came into being only because he had a kind of hunger, he had a kind of thirst. While he was writing Orientalism, he felt the necessity to write another book. Okay, he felt that his ideas could not be, expressed through this book only. He wanted to do something more, and that's why he went for. I'm not sure that whether you can see me. Is it possible? Is it the problem of the network? I'm not so sure. Internet. Can you see me now? Can you see me now? Or can you listen to me? Okay, perhaps you can listen to me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you listen to me well? Can you listen to me well? Okay, just look. That Joseph Conrad and the fiction of autobiography is his first book. Okay, and then Orientalism came into being, and the next one is the question of Palestine, which came into being in 1979, covering Islam. The next one, 1981, The World, the Text and the Critic, 1983. Oh my God, so many books in his career. Okay, so many books. Is it possible to write so many books? You can imagine. Okay, that it is very difficult for anybody to write just one book, but he wrote so many books one after another, and all the books are very much influential, including Orientalism, covering Islam, the world, the text, and the critic also very very important. Okay, then nationalism, colonialism, and literature, years and decolonization that came out in 1988. Okay, in the same year, blaming the victims, spurious scholarship, and the Palestinian question in the same year, 1998, 1988. Okay, so come to the next slide. So a few books here uh, are also we can see that musical elaborations, then culture and imperialism. So culture and imperialism came out in 1993. Okay, so uh, two books. One is 1978, the Orientalism, 1978, and then culture and imperialism came into being in 1993. So 1978, so 78, 8, 12, almost 15 years. After 15 years, culture and imperialism came into being. Okay, so though there is a big connection between the two, between Orientalism and culture and imperialism, but there is a gap between the two books. Okay, so it's a long span of time, almost 15 years. Okay, almost 15 years. You see uh, the gap between Orientalism and the culture and imperialism. So I often talk to you in the way that uh, we must try to try to try to understand the connection between the two books. Okay, if we don't understand the connection between the two books, it will not be possible for us to uh, I mean to uh, to to understand introduction to culture and imperialism. Okay, and yes, in introduction to culture and imperialism, Edward Said actually very clearly or categorically stated that what were the factors that led Edward Said, or that made Edward Said focus on writing this book. Okay, so it is not our ideas. Edward Said himself actually admitted that, and he wonderfully, categorically, uh, I mean, admitted the truth that it was Orientalism which actually made him focus on a new book, and that is Culture and Imperialism. Okay, so come to the next slide. Come to the next slide. A few photos or a few pictures are here. So, I mean, you cannot see instantly because it takes time, you know. It takes time to be viewed because of the slowness of the speed of internet. So the moment I navigate the slide, I shift just one from one slide to another. Instantly, you cannot, see or you cannot view. That's why you just look. So there is, this slide is very significant, which I am going to present now, which I am going to present now. So when it will be viewed, you just have a look at it, and you have to have some impression about it. Okay, and I'm sure that you will have some impression about this slide. Okay, whatever or what impression you can create in your mind, I just want to know. Okay, I just want to know from you. Okay, what sort of impression? Thank you very much, Ifat. Thank you very much. Actually, slide presentation is very important for you to get ideas of so many things at the same time. Okay, if we just speak verbally and orally, sometimes it is very difficult for students to connect to the ideas. Okay, because we sometimes come up with heavy thoughts, heavy ideas. So those who don't have the background knowledge or the ideas, suddenly it is very difficult for ones to connect to those ideas, because to read a text, to start reading a particular text, one must have the background idea. Okay, and for as many of our students, or we lack the background ideas, that's why verbal or only the oral presentation or oral speaking orally doesn't make a great help, or doesn't help a lot on your part. Okay, so if it happens like this, or it can put up it can be put up in a very competent way. So if the slide presentation is very competent, then it is very much helpful for anybody. I mean, not only the students, but also anyone. For anyone, it is possible for them to connect to the ideas. Okay, because pictures and captions and other things help 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 anybody to connect to the ideas very instantly or quickly. Okay, so I'm not sure that whether you have got the next slide or not. So perhaps due to the slowness of the speed of the internet, so still you are not viewing the next slide. So the slide that I am going to present now, the heading of the slide is Oriental, Oriental. And you know that what is Orient and Oriental? Okay, so this is a kind of dividing the globe by the Westerners. Westerners divide the globe in two ways, according to their own ways. Okay, so there is a kind of, political, attitude. There is a kind of uh, political attitude in dividing the globe. Okay, so they they actually divide the globe in two ways, in the way like the west and the east. Okay, so the west, that is so much developed, very developed, culturally ahead, culturally advanced, technologically advanced, politically advanced. Okay, in different ways they are advanced, they were more civilized than the eastern. Okay, that's why they 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 just belittle, behind their way of the division of the globe, there remains a politics. There remains a politics. Okay, what's that politics? What's that politic? Politics. The politics is, they always belittle the Easterners. The Oriental. Okay, so they always belittle the Orientals, or you can say the Orient. Okay, So they never think that the Orient or the Eastern people or Eastern civilization, Eastern culture is parallel or is equal to the Western culture, Western civilization. They always think that Western civilization is dominating. They always think the Western civilization or Western culture is superior. Okay, so from this superiority complex, from this superiority attitude, they actually belittle the Easterners or the Eastern culture or whatever Eastern. That's why they actually divide the whole globe, the entire globe, according to their own way. And what is the division? The globe is on the one hand the westerner, so the westerner, the western part of the globe represents anything good, represents anything civilized, represents anything advanced. Okay, that is technologically, socially, culturally, economically, uh, in many ways. Okay, so Oriental means, according to the Westerner, Oriental means very low, very uncivilized, okay, very, weak, very not advanced, okay. So that is the uh, that is the attitude of the Westerners. Okay, that is the attitude of the Westerners. Okay, so I cannot see the I just already have navigated to the next slide, but I cannot see that whether this slide you can view this slide or not. Okay, so what slide can you see? If you just communicate, if you say whether you can, which slide you can see. I cannot uh, I cannot figure out from here. If you say that which slide you are viewing now, so does the slide uh, have the title like, or you can say the title like Oriental? Do you view the slide like this? Okay. If you say, then it will be better for me. So which slide you are seeing now? Which slide you are seeing now? Can you say that which slide you are seeing now? If you say, it will be better for me. Okay, which slide you are viewing now? Does the slide, so does it get stuck over here? I'm not so sure. Does it get stuck over here? Can you still see? Can you still? Oh, I see. I see. So you just look. You just look. That what do you see in this particular slide? Oriental. Okay, the pictures, a few images. Okay, so the images that represent the activities happening in this part of the world. I mean, in this part, in the eastern part. Okay, so what happens in eastern part? You see that peddler in the first picture, in the first image, you see that a flower peddler. Okay, so he is peddling the flower and going door to door. Okay, so in the other picture, you see that someone is buying uh, the carpet. Okay, the someone is buying the uh, carpet, and other people are, I mean, and other people are, someone is selling, and some other person is buying that. Okay, so buying and selling, and also you see that some old person is reading or reciting the Holy Quran. Okay, so this is a view or the picture of a mosque. Okay, so this is the picture happening in the inside of the mosque. Okay, so two people are, one is perhaps reciting the Holy Quran, or other person is interpreting that or something like that. So all these are about the Eastern activities or Eastern culture. Okay, so these cultures are not appreciable to the Western people. They always say that these cultures or cultural activities are pretty kind of cultural activities, not so much advanced. Okay, so Eastern people lag always culturally, economically, politically, and also technologically. Okay, so you know that what is Orient? Orient means the East. Oriental means Eastern. Okay, and from this view, Edward Said actually uh, whatever ideas Edward Said had in his mind, he comes up with or he came up with those ideas in Orientalism. Okay, and Orientalism is his most celebrated book, the most celebrated book of Edward Said, which came into being or which came out in 1978. Okay, and you know that this was a great book, so much influential, and when it was published or when it came into being, so it was a big event in the history of English literature and culture or something like that. Okay, so it came up with a big blow. Okay, it came up with some radical ideas. I mean, whatever it was established so far, I mean, those ideas got changed. Okay, so Edward Said actually made other people think about the world or look at the world in a different way. Okay, so Orientalism was such a book, you know, that uh, which when it came into being, it came up with uh, I, radical ideas, very influential ideas. Okay, so you know that as this book is titled in such a Orientalism, definitely it deals with anything related to Orientalism or Oriental or the Orientalists or something like that. Okay, you just look. Come to the next slide. Come to the next slide. Here, uh, here actually the cover page uh, of the book, great book Orientalism. Okay, so from a few publishing companies. So the publishing companies had different cover page. They had different pictures. Okay, of the cover page. Okay, you know. So can you see the different different pictures or different cover pages of from different publishing houses? So you just look. If you see the different types or different pictures of the cover page of the great book Orientalism. This thing is very important in the sense, you see, this thing is very important in the sense, you see, that yeah, definitely the cover page talks about a lot about the content of the book. Okay, whatever or what is the content of the book uh, actually gives the impression. I mean, cover page gives the impression. Okay, so look at the very first picture, first cover page, then the second one, okay, then the third one, and then the fourth one. Okay, so you know that snake charmers. So this is a very common scene in the East, particularly in our territory in Asia, and also particularly in the East, that snake charmers are very much available. Though nowadays we can't see snake charmers, but in the past, during the time of Edward Said, definitely in the in the Eastern culture, snake charmers, uh, uh, I mean, uh, gave entertainment, or snake charming was a source of entertainment for the people. Okay, so I mean the Eastern people are very much habituated to watching air and getting entertainment from this. And the second one, you see that some craftsman is doing some crafts work. Okay, and you just look at the third one. So there is a picture of a woman. There is a picture of a woman, and in the picture you see, not in the third one, actually the fourth one, the last one. The woman has got one eye only, the other eye is not. Okay, so what does it indicate? It it indicates that, I mean, the Western people are blind to one eye. They cannot see, they just can see the one part of the world, but they cannot see the other part. Okay, so through this picture, it is indicated that, okay, the Western people can just see, they are blind to one eye. Okay, so what does blind to means? They can clearly see their part of the world, or I mean the western part of the world, or the dominating part of the world, but they just belittle the other part of the world. Okay, I mean the eastern part, they cannot count, they don't count it. I mean the eastern culture, eastern civilization, anything, they cannot count, they cannot actually, I mean, emphasize, they not cannot, they actually do not emphasize, they do not count it, okay, whatsoever. Okay, so the cover pages of the same book, the different cover pages of the same book, in different ways, in different fashion, actually indicate the attitude, or what is in the what is the content of the book Orientalism. Okay, so it is almost 50 minutes. It is almost 50 minutes. Today I